Hey everybody, how's it going? Back T-Break here today with another World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth video. Today checking out the Fury Warrior. If you want to see other class changes in Battle for Azeroth, see my playlist below where I have most of the classes covered and I'm adding a new class every single day. So, the Fury Warrior hasn't had too much changing with it. The basic gameplay is still there, and if you enjoy the Legion Fury Warrior experience, you will like the Battle for Azeroth experience. You'll still have Bloodthirst as your main ability here, generating the most rage and having a cooldown that gets reduced by haste. Furious Slash is your filler spell. Raging Blow is still used when you enrage, which happens through using Bloodthirst crits or using your Rampage. Execute is still here, big damage crits for execute phases, and then Battle Cry, now known as Recklessness. So, how's the class change though? One big thing straight away, which kind of pulls it all together, the nerfs from the artifacts being gone, is Enrage. So Enrage in the live servers is 100% increased attack speed and 4-second duration. My bad there. On the alpha, it's 50% increased attack speed, so half the attack speed, but 2 more seconds, so 6 seconds here. So what does this mean? It means you get obviously lower attack speed, which isn't too big of a deal. It means slightly less rage, but that's not everything. But it is a nerf in some ways. And then we get longer enrages, which means we get obviously increased damage and more attack speed uptime. But the big thing is the mastery. The mastery is still the same. Increase your damage while you're enraged. And that's pretty important to have. You'll notice through the changes here that the Fury Warrior isn't as bursty as the live counterpart. Mainly through the artifact loss. So besides that though, we'll talk about some of the ability changes before we go to artifact. One big one here is that Battle Cry, Recklessness, is 6 seconds here, where it's 5 seconds on the live server. Now this isn't a buff because the Recklessness / Battle Cry now has a GCD associated with it. So if I press my Battle Cry here, it costs 1 whole GCD. So you didn't gain anything. You technically lost something because you have 1 less GCD to use in a fight, which kind of sucks, but it's not too bad realistically because you get the same uptime of Recklessness, and maybe you're missing 1 extra Furious Slash, which is fine. Personally, I feel it's fine anyway, but yeah, it feels a bit slower now, and the animation's a bit weak in my opinion. Anyway, the Whirlwind Cleave has been nerfed also. When you Whirlwind, you get the buff, which makes your next Bloodthirst or Rampage do 40% additional damage now, where on live it's 50%, which is a little bit rough, but you know, still the same idea, still doing that AoE damage. Next, Furious Slash has been buffed. Furious Slash on live is 15% increased chance if you're Bloodthirst, where here is 20%. That's a very nice change, obviously, especially at the beginning of an expansion when your crit rate is very, very low. This also means our Bloodthirst crits will happen much more often now, which is nice because obviously Enrage is longer, so we have a higher uptime of Enrage because of that. We also have Battle Shout now. Battle Shout is a 10% increased attack power buff for the entire raid / party, which is really, really important. Only warriors bring this currently to the game, so every party will need a warrior in one way or another, so yeah, you're very lucky to say the least. And the big one, back to artifacts now, is Odin's Fury is gone. Odin's Fury is your artifact ability, and that's your big burst AoE cooldown in my opinion, and you don't have that anymore. When you enter combat now, you want an AoE. You only can press Whirlwinds. Realistically. None of your talents are AoE based, so yeah, literally this is your AoE. Get there eventually. Bloodbath. Bit of lags, apologies boys. And you start DPSing, and then, you know, your Bloodbath that will do most of the damage really for AoE. It's a little awkward. Here's the Rampage, Bloodbath. But yeah. Also, you see here, Rampage is bugged. I have these like clones following me now. It's pretty good. But they're really small. Oh god, what a game. Alpha is alpha though, boys, so yeah, not too bad there. So, as I said though, you think, okay, this is all buffs though. Enrage lasts longer, we're critting more because of Furious Slash buffs. What's the problem? Well, the problem is your artifact being gone. So, the big one, your execute phase is much worse now because Juggernaut is gone. Juggernaut gives you increased damage every time you use execute. So now when you execute, you just hit them really hard. You don't get a stacking buff anymore. Odin's Champion is gone. That's the one when you use, I think it's Odin's Fury, you have a chance on next auto attacks and stuff to get cooldown reduction. So that means no cooldown reduction on your Recklessness. You also lost Hellia's Wrath. That's 10 seconds again off your battle cry, so it goes from 1 minute to 50 just by default. You also lost Sense Death. That gives you free executes chance when you execute, so you'd actually sometimes get multiple executes for free in a row, which you don't get anymore. You also lost Uncontrolled Rage, which means you get less rage from charging now, so your engage is now worse, but doesn't matter too much because you have Reckless Abandon still, I guess. It's still a nerf though. You also lost Pulse of Battle, which is when your Raging Blow crits, you gain extra rage, which means just less rage in general again. Unrivaled Strength is gone, which means you do less damage now during your battle cry windows. And Oath Blood is gone also, which means you generate, or the Blood Oath, I think it's Blood Oath, sorry. Blood Oath is gone, which means you generate less rage now because you don't get those double Bloodthirst hits. So, to break it down easily for all those trait losses there, the big things are you're going to have no Juggernaut, so execute damage is much lower. You're generating much less rage now through the charge loss, also the Raging Blow loss, and the double Bloodthirst. And then your burst is lower too, because the Battlecry cooldown is now higher, and you don't get the increased damage during Battlecry anymore. So, yeah, that's a pretty big nerf, as the kids would say. It's very big nerf. Is it warranted? Obviously it doesn't matter right now because we don't know numbers yet, but I think it's a good thing because currently on live, I feel personally, warriors are very bursty, and it's fine to have bursty classes in the game, and it's good for them to be good at their niche. But Fury Warrior is so terrible outside of the initial burst of a pull, and if there's no execute phase. On Argus prog, Fury Warrior was useless for 90% of progression. Between 100% health and 20%, but because obviously the monster heals, it's like 10% of the boss's HP technically. So 90% of your progression / fight time, he does nothing in the raid, which isn't his fault. That's how the class is designed. And then execute goes really big late into the phase and you go big Super Saiyan mode. So what this means now is that they can make it, slightly less burst, slightly less execute damage, and actually buff the overall damage, which means you get less RNG variance. It also means you're useful in more fights, and it means you're going to have a better time in dungeons also, in my opinion. So, even though it's a nerf to how you generate the rage, I think this will just buff the baseline abilities because of this, and you have a much better time. Now, let's go through the talents. The talents haven't been changed too much, really. 15 is exactly the same as the live server. 30 has a new one, Impeding Victory. Impeding Victory gives you a new button to press, which is different to the Arms Warrior, and actually costs 10 rage and heals you and does okay damage, 700. You see it's a bit around Raging Blow, a bit around Bloodthirst, so it's not too bad. I would put it as the same line as After Bloodthirst, just like a filler spell pretty much. I'd still put Raging Blow above it probably because you generate rage from it, but it does heal you, which is very nice, and you also get the reset cooldown when you kill something. I don't think the cooldown's the same as War Machine. War Machine is when you kill a target, and that's anything, even if you touch it and it dies. Where generally, Impeding Victory in the past has only been if you got the Killing Blow. So yeah, a little bit awkward there. 45 has been slightly changed. Wrecking Ball now does 300% increased damage with your next Whirlwind, up from 250 on live. So this is massive for your AoE damage, and kind of necessary because Odin's Fury is gone. So yeah, very much a nice talent there. The rest are the same. 60 is the same also. 75 is the same also. 90 has some changes here. Inner's Fury got nerfed. Inner Fury even. Inner Fury on the live servers is 150% increased damage dealt with your Raging Blow. Now it's only 100%. But the thing with this change here is that they did it before they buffed, quote-unquote, Bloodbath. So, anyway, Bloodbath costs a GCD now. Still does the same buff, but it has a physical attack component now. Let's go hit a target dummy. So it has a GCD, so you lose that 1 second extra of the Bloodbath buff. But you'll see here, I actually hit the person in front of me. It's AoE damage too, and it actually applies the initial dots. So you don't really lose out here too badly. Like, it does good damage anyway. It does better damage than anything else you can hit besides a Rampage. So this is probably a DPS increase from the live version, technically. So that's pretty cool, I guess. And it still scales if you Battle Cry. The Battle Cry bonus here makes your Bloodbath crit. Avatar makes your Bloodbath initial hit crit also. We'll show you here real quick what an opener will look like most likely. We'll pick some better talents here. Reckless Abandon. We'll go Endless Rage here. Double Time doesn't really matter. This looks pretty basic. This is what I think you just pick every fight currently, depending if Wrecking Ball's OP now. And Avatar is a GCD now, so maybe slightly different. So we'll... I want a single target one. One thing to note here is that I'm critting higher than normal. I'm critting at 40% chance. The problem is this target time is 85. These ones are raid bosses and I can't hit them right now. So I can't really test them. Anyway, here we go. So charge in, Avatar, Battle Cry, Bloodbath, Rampage, Bloodthirst, Raging Blows the fill. Well, we have that in Rage buff. Back to Bloodthirst. Nearly have another... Oh, is that enough? I can't even tell. I don't think I had enough rage then. No, I had like 99. Yeah, back to the old rotation now. And yeah, it's still the same class you know and love from the live servers. Still not as buggy. Look at that bug. It's so good having that bug running around. Your AoE is worse, yes, but it's still the same playstyle, realistically. Let's get the Rampage in there. Look at all those misses, dude. It feels bad, man. Interesting the whirlwind doesn't ever miss, really, compared to the auto attacks. But yeah. So, we also have 100 here. I don't know if this is a change, but Dragon Rule, from what it says on Wowhead, Icy Veins, MMO Champion, is 16%. Whereas 15% here. Yeah, I don't really know what the deal with that is, but that's the thing I guess if it really matters. So, how do I feel about the Fury Warrior? I think it's fine, because if you let the Legion version of Fury Warrior works, as I said. It is a little awkward, as I said about the whole burst window and stuff, but it still works as a class. The problem is that it's not a Battle for Azeroth ready class. Battle for Azeroth is promoting Talon roles which is specific. You have roles based on single target, one based on say resources, AoE, utility, maybe some sort of raid buff, something like that. But the Fury Warrior, doesn't have that right now. The 15 line is the best example of what you want to have. 15 increases the rage you get in different ways. So War Machine makes it so you gain more haste, which means you attack more often with auto attacks, which mean more rage. And this is obviously good when you're killing stuff. Endless Rage just gives you more rage permanently through your auto attacks, which means you can kill AoE ads, sure, but this is better for single target, maybe if ads aren't dying very quickly, stuff like that. And then Fresh Meat makes your Bloodthirst crit more often, so that means you get more enrage buff uptime, which means you get more Raging Blows, which is perfect. This is a perfect line. There's different ways to generate rage or gain more resources in different ways. But for example, the 45 line isn't like that right now. 45 has an AoE talent, which is also pseudo single target, because Whirlwind does so much more damage because of this. Outburst increases all your damage, but it's not really a cooldown you use for, like, let's say, oh, here come the ads, now I'll use Outburst / Berserker Rage. So, a bit awkward. And Avatar is all damage again. So, it's weird, I feel. There's no AoE line at all for the Fury Warrior, which makes no sense. The closest two you have are Wrecking Ball and Bloodbath. 100 does not count. 100 is always separate. 100 can have AoE, single target, I don't care what they have there. They're supposed to be the unique, niche, overpowered in some ways talents. The rest are supposed to be balanced though. And right now, if you want an AoE, you pick Wrecking Ball and Bloodbath. If you want a single target, you pick Avatar and, whatever's going to be OP here. It's no option. There's no thought process here currently. Which sucks. There should be AoE options. You could have something like, this is fine. Having the chance to make your Whirlwind do extra damage is cool. This should just be Odin's Fury. Let's just have Odin's Fury back in some baseline way. And then maybe add the other one, some sort of like AoE dot, or maybe some sort of 2-target cleave, something like that. AoE, but different types of AoE. 60 also is okay, I guess. The thing is, impeding victory should be here, because this is movement, a heal, and a stun. Why isn't this movement skill next to double time? Move the heal over here. Then you have a heal, impending victory here is another heal, and war paint, you take less damage, so technically you're healing more. which is perfect. But they don't do that for whatever reason. I guess the thing is here, 30 is that this is the same as the Arms Warrior, so maybe they're trying to make it generic across all the specs, but yeah. And then 70, it's like, it's all to do with your Rampage ability, which is okay, I guess. But it doesn't change. It changes how you play, but you don't go, okay, I'm going to be bursting ads down here, so I'll be picking this one, or hey, we need to execute bigger, I pick this one. There's, you know, it's fun having a DPS increase here, but they or just increase your damage, and there's nothing interesting. It's never like, ooh, this fight requires burst, I pick this one. It's just, this is the mathematically the best talent here, I'll pick it every time. 90 is the same. We have a haste buff on Furious Slash, which is a single target ability. We have Raging Blows now baseline, which is just a, you know, single target. And then Blood buff is single target and AoE. Like, what's going on with this line? So, in summary, the Fury Warrior is the same as Legion, and that is fine. It still works. The problem is that it hasn't been updated for the Battle for Azeroth version of Talents, and that's a little bit depressing. The thing is, we're still months away from release, and things can change and hopefully will change. Besides the number changes here on some of the abilities and impending victory, the rest is all the same, so hopes are up there that they will change it, but I know people are very happy with how Fury plays on live, so yeah, I hope people, you know, get a bit, not outraged, but I hope they do say something about this and they do want Blizzard to change it up a little bit. Every spec in the game has something reworked besides DK, because DKs are in a pit right now, but most specs have new abilities, at least through their talents or new options, and Fury right now has 0 new options. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.